The year was 2012. The world was buzzing with new ideas, but for some, the doors to innovation remained tightly shut. Backstage at Morning Spark, Sarah Chen stood alone, her hands trembling as she clutched a small box. Inside was more than just an invention. It was the sum of sleepless nights, her dwindling savings, and a hope that had survived countless setbacks. This was her moment. National TV. A single chance to transform her fledgling startup into a name spoken in homes across the country. But the stakes were higher than anyone watching could know. Her invention was born from a problem millions of women faced. One so personal, so quietly endured, that it was rarely spoken of, let alone solved. In the cramped corners of her garage, Sarah had built her prototype from scratch. She'd taught herself to solder, to sew, to code, because the world had never bothered to create what she needed. Night after night, she rehearsed her pitch in front of a cracked mirror, determined to be seen, not as a novelty, but as a serious innovator. She'd faced skepticism before, dismissive investors, friends who told her to give up, even her own doubts whispering in the dark. Now, as she stepped onto the blindingly lit stage, her heart pounded with a mix of hope and fear. But something in the air shifted. The music was whimsical, almost mocking. The host's smile was wide, but it didn't reach his eyes. It was the smile of someone who'd already decided the punchline. Instead of curiosity, Sarah felt the weight of condescension. The audience's smirks stung more than any criticism she'd faced in private. The host's questions skimmed the surface, ignoring her research, her data, the years of sacrifice. He held her invention like a prop, not a breakthrough. The audience was being cued to laugh, not to listen. Every giggle felt like a blow. Every lighted sign a reminder that she was entertainment, not inspiration. In that moment, Sarah's heart sank. She realized she wasn't being welcomed as an inventor. She was being set up as the punchline to a joke she never agreed to tell. The stage she saw now wasn't a platform for innovation. It was a theater, and she was the act. Her years of work reduced to a spectacle. Her dream, so carefully built, was teetering on the edge of collapse. The laughter in the room echoed the doubts she'd fought so hard to silence. The stage lights burned, but the chill of dread was colder than ever. The anticipation that once fueled her was gone, replaced by the ache of humiliation. She had dreamed of this moment since the first spark of her idea. She'd imagined applause, respect, maybe even a little awe. But now, that hope was slipping away, replaced by the fear that she'd been foolish to dream at all. And as the cameras rolled, Sarah gathered every ounce of strength she had left. She braced herself, not just for what was coming, but for the fight to keep her dream alive, even as the world seemed ready to laugh it away. Talk shows like Morning Spark can make or break an idea. The stakes are high. One segment could launch a dream or crush it in front of millions. For Sarah, this was supposed to be validation, a chance to reach people who needed her product. Every detail mattered, every word rehearsed. She'd prepared meticulously, hoping to be seen as a credible entrepreneur. The weight of her hopes, and the hopes of those her invention could help, rested on this moment. But these shows often value entertainment over substance, especially when the topic is women's health. The environment buzzed with energy, but also unpredictability. Producers shape the narrative before a guest even steps on stage. Every angle, every reaction, carefully orchestrated. Sarah walked out, hopeful, her heart pounding, unaware she was entering an arena, not a neutral ground. The promise of direct connection was an illusion. Everything was filtered, edited, and framed for maximum effect. The environment was charged, every moment recorded and ready to be spun. The rules were set long before she arrived. The emotional stakes were higher than ever. She believed she was there to share her discovery, to finally be heard. Instead, she was about to learn how easily a story can be twisted. The emotional risk was as real as the professional one. The stage was set, but not for her success. The environment, the preparation, and the stakes all pointed to a moment that would test her resilience. The segment began, and Sarah could feel her heart pounding as the studio lights flared to life. She glanced at the audience, searching for a friendly face, but saw only curious eyes and expectant grins. The tone was clear from the start. This was entertainment, not enlightenment. The host, Mark, introduced Sarah's Aura Band, a wearable for menstrual pain with a smirk and a joke about that time of the month. Sarah forced a polite smile, but inside, her stomach twisted. Laughter rippled through the audience, louder than she'd expected. She remembered her friends warning her, "They might not take you seriously." Sarah tried to explain the science, her voice steady but hopeful. Mark interrupted, reducing her work to a hot water bottle for your tummy. She felt her cheeks flush, wishing she could rewind and start over. Every attempt to discuss research or user feedback was cut off. Sarah's mind raced. Should she push back or just smile and wait for her chance? The conversation became a performance, the product a punchline. Sarah watched as her invention was turned into a prop for comedy. Even the female co-host, who had nodded encouragingly backstage, was pressured to join the mockery. Sarah caught her eye. A silent apology passed between them. The message: women's health isn't serious, it's embarrassing. Sarah felt exposed, as if her own story was being ridiculed. Sarah stood frozen, her invention dismissed as a novelty. She remembered the late nights, the clinical trials, the women who'd thanked her. None of that seemed to matter here. The host ended the segment with a joke. The audience roared and the camera caught Sarah's forced smile, her mind screaming to be anywhere else. She had come to be seen as a pioneer. She'd hoped to inspire, to educate, to change the conversation. Instead, she was made a caricature. The laughter stung, echoing in her ears. The show hadn't given her a platform, it had put her on display. She felt like an exhibit, not an expert. As the commercial break hit, Sarah felt the weight of years of work reduced to a single humiliating moment. She wondered if anyone out there understood what she was really trying to do. The laughter echoed, drowning out everything else. Her voice, her purpose, her hope. After the broadcast, the laughter didn't just follow Sarah, it clung to her, echoing in every corner of her life. The clip went viral, not as a story of innovation, but as a punchline. Each share, each mocking comment, deepened the sting. Investors who'd once seen promise now saw risk. Meetings vanished, doors quietly closed. Headlines and coverage fixated on the host's ridicule, erasing the substance of her invention. In private, Sarah wrestled with humiliation and doubt. Her confidence, once steady, now felt fragile. The male-dominated world of venture capital dismissed her work as niche, their skepticism sharpened by public mockery. The laughter became a convenient excuse for investors to walk away, leaving her isolated. Alone with her thoughts, Sarah questioned her path. Was her idea truly foolish, or was the world simply not ready? Every meeting began with her fighting not just for funding, but for her own dignity, struggling to rise above the caricature TV had painted. The laughter became a ghost, haunting her every step, a reminder of how quickly dreams can be reduced to jokes. In the quiet moments, Sarah reflected on the cost of daring to be different. The journey, already hard, now felt nearly impossible. Yet in the depths of her doubt, a stubborn resolve grew. Sarah wasn't ready to give up. Not yet. Defeated, Sarah considered quitting, until the emails started. But it wasn't just emails. Letters, social media messages, and even handwritten notes began to pour in. Women from across the country reached out, not to mock, but to thank her. Some sent stories of how they'd been dismissed by doctors. Others shared how her courage inspired them to speak up at work or at home. They shared stories of pain, of being dismissed, and of hope for her invention. One woman wrote about finally feeling seen. Another sent a photo of her daughter saying, "You're making the world better for her." These messages reminded Sarah why she started. Each word of encouragement became a spark, slowly reigniting her belief in herself. The gatekeepers weren't her audience. Women who needed her product were. She realized her voice mattered most to those who truly listened. She pivoted, launching a modest crowdfunding campaign with a simple, honest appeal. She spoke from the heart, sharing her journey and her setbacks. She told her story, shared testimonials, and spoke directly to those who understood. The more she shared, the more her confidence grew. The response was overwhelming. The campaign hit its goal in 48 hours. Messages of support flooded in, each one a reminder that her voice was finally being heard. Women shared it in private groups, fueling a grassroots movement. Sarah watched as her story became a rallying cry for others. Sarah began small-scale production, packing and shipping aura bands from her garage. Each package was more than a product. It was a message of hope. Each box was an act of defiance, a rebuttal to the laughter. Every shipment was a step toward reclaiming her narrative. She built her business on trust and genuine connection, not hype. She found inspiration in every conversation, every thank you, every story shared. The mainstream had ignored her, but her customers had not. Their voices became her strength. The laughter faded, replaced by gratitude. In its place, Sarah found a chorus of support. Sarah realized she didn't need permission to succeed. She discovered her voice was powerful, especially when joined by others. She just needed to reach the people who mattered, and she did, by finding her voice and inspiring others to find theirs too. When the first Aura bands finally reached customers, Sarah was both excited and anxious. The feedback, however, was life-changing. Women posted stories of relief and reclaimed lives, sharing how Aura Band helped them manage pain and regain confidence. Authentic testimonials spread online, more powerful than any ad, and soon, Aura Band became a trending topic. Medical professionals and journalists took notice, drawn by real-world results, but also questioning the science behind the product. A respected gynecologist published an article validating the science behind Aura Band, but not before Sarah had to defend her work at several challenging conferences. With scientific backing and media coverage, Sarah's work gained credibility, and the narrative began to shift. Media outlets that once mocked her now ran stories of her resilience, highlighting her perseverance through public ridicule. Investors called, eager to partner with her, but Sarah remembered those who doubted her and chose only those who truly believed in her mission. Each partnership was a milestone, marking her transition from outsider to industry leader. The old TV clip resurfaced, but now it was used as a lesson in media bias and the dangers of dismissing new ideas. Professors used it in lectures. Business schools made it a case study in resilience, innovation, and overcoming public skepticism. The laughter that once shamed Sarah now shamed the institution that produced it, prompting public apologies and reflection. Her story became a symbol of outdated attitudes and a rallying point for change and empowerment. The punchline had become a turning point, a milestone in the journey from mockery to mainstream acceptance. By 2026, Aura Band is a global success, proof that the world is ready for bold ideas and new voices. Sarah Chen is now a celebrated CEO and a beacon for women in STEM, inspiring a new generation to dream bigger. Her journey reminds us that the power to shape the future belongs to those who dare to challenge the status quo. For too long, problems affecting women, and so many others, were dismissed as niche, trivial, or even laughable. But Sarah's story proves that dismissing new perspectives isn't just biased. It's a missed opportunity for progress. The future of innovation depends on our willingness to challenge our own biases and to welcome diversity in our teams, our media, and our minds. When we listen with curiosity, not condescension, we open the door to ideas that can change the world. Remember, today's awkward idea could be tomorrow's breakthrough, if only we have the courage to nurture it. Sarah's perseverance is a testament. True innovation doesn't wait for permission. It grows in the face of doubt, the gratitude of those you help, the lives you touch. These are the real rewards, far outweighing the laughter or skepticism of the crowd. Every story like Sarah's lights the path for the next innovator, making it just a little easier for them to be heard. The last laugh belongs to those who persist, and to those who believe in the power of resilience. Let's build a future where every Sarah Chen is met with respect, encouragement, and the chance to redefine what's possible for all of us. Because the next great innovation could come from anyone, anywhere, and together, we can make sure it's welcomed with open minds and open hearts.